In the pre-dawn darkness of August 7th, 1942, at 0214 hours, the initial contingent of United States Marines started their advance through the surf toward a coastal stretch forever remembered in military history. This was Beach Red on Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. These fighting men brought the typical armament of their era: M1 Garands, Browning automatic rifles, and Thompson submachine guns. Yet, concealed among this conventional arsenal was something unexpected, something that would leave Japanese forces utterly unprepared. Clutched in the grip of specially selected Marines was the Winchester Model 12 shotgun. Originally conceived as a pump-action firearm for sportsmen, this weapon had been transformed into one of the most fearsome instruments of close-quarters battle ever deployed in modern military conflict. The Japanese garrison defending Guadalcanal had prepared anticipating rifle engagements at medium range. Their training focused relentlessly on bayonet assaults and blade combat, convinced that their martial spirit would prove superior in direct confrontation. What they failed to account for was the savage effectiveness of American scatterguns, firearms capable of discharging rounds as rapidly as an operator could work the pump mechanism. The straightforward engineering of the Model 12, paired with its deadly dispersal of buckshot, would systematically dismantle Japanese combat philosophy throughout the jungle terrain, cave systems, and nocturnal engagements of the Pacific Theater. The statistics painted a vivid picture. Every cartridge contained 9 pellets of .33 caliber double-aught buckshot. A Marine operating the Model 12 could discharge 6 shells within 3 seconds, releasing 54 individual projectiles that saturated a target zone with fatal force more swiftly than any Japanese infantryman could achieve with bolt-action Arisaka rifles. For the approximately 2,200 Japanese troops on Guadalcanal, this represented an armament they had never anticipated, a weapon so formidable that Germany had attempted to secure its prohibition during World War I. The German government lodged an official diplomatic objection in 1918, asserting that American shotguns contravened the Hague Convention because they inflicted unwarranted agony. Their complaint threatened that any captured American serviceman possessing a shotgun might face summary execution. The United States rejected this protest outright, warning that should even one American be killed for carrying such a weapon, retaliation would be swift. No American soldiers were executed, and the shotgun continued its service. When World War II commenced, the Winchester Model 12 trench gun had been refined for military application. It featured a truncated 20-inch barrel, a protective heat shield, a bayonet mounting point, and, crucially, the capacity for slam firing. This meant a Marine could hold the trigger while rapidly cycling the pump action, creating an almost uninterrupted barrage of devastating fire. For Japanese forces who built tactics around nocturnal operations and close-range bayonet rushes, this weapon represented a complete nightmare. Japanese military doctrine stressed that American soldiers were deficient in hand-to-hand combat and overly reliant on standoff firepower. Their strategy emphasized nighttime penetration, shock attacks, and the conviction that spiritual determination would triumph over Western adversaries. Initial conquests in China, Singapore, and the Philippines appeared to validate this worldview. However, when they confronted Marines wielding shotguns on Guadalcanal, these assumptions shattered completely. The critical proving ground arrived 14 days after the landing. During the engagement at the Tenaru River on August 21, 1942, Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki commanded nearly 1,000 Japanese troops in a midnight offensive across a sandbar, intending to penetrate the Marine defensive perimeter. This represented precisely the intimate combat that Japanese doctrine celebrated. But positioned in wait were Marines equipped with machine guns, artillery, and, concealed in darkness, riflemen armed with shotguns. As Japanese forces pressed forward, they encountered a devastating wall of fire. Marines unleashed volleys from Garands and bars into the advancing masses, yet in the lethal close quarters fighting along the river's edge, the Winchester Model 12 truly demonstrated its worth. At distances of 20 yards or closer, a single shotgun discharge could tear through several attackers simultaneously. Marines employing slam-fire technique transformed their weapons into rapid-fire devastation machines. When daylight arrived, the sandbar was carpeted with corpses. Of the 916 Japanese soldiers who initiated the assault, approximately 800 lay dead. The shotgun's effectiveness extended beyond lethal capacity to include profound psychological impact. In the jungle's impenetrable darkness, the distinctive sound of a pump-action cycling, that sharp, metallic cha-chunk, struck fear into Japanese infiltrators. Marines deployed the weapon in applications that rifles couldn't replicate. During nighttime patrols, the shotgun became preferred armament for point position, providing instant, overwhelming firepower at the first indication of ambush. In defensive arrangements, when Japanese infiltrators crept silently toward the perimeter with bayonets and grenades, one buckshot blast terminated the attack immediately. As the conflict extended into 1943 and 1944, the shotgun validated its value repeatedly. In New Georgia's jungles, Marines equipped point men with the Model 12 to counter surprise attacks. A single discharge could disrupt an entire Japanese patrol. The weapon also excelled in jungle corridor engagement, with buckshot tearing through vegetation to strike hidden adversaries. Yet perhaps the most horrifying application emerged in cave and fortification combat. Beginning at Tarawa in November 1943 and reaching savage intensity at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, Japanese forces converted entire islands into fortress complexes of stone, coral, and reinforced concrete. Marines were forced to enter caves and engage enemies in pitch-black chambers. In these environments, the shotgun had no equal. Marines developed tactics of firing into cave openings, allowing buckshot to rebound off interior walls, generating a lethal maelstrom within confined areas. Survivors described the acoustic effect as horrifying. Ricocheting pellets screamed in every direction, creating the sensation that death approached from all angles. The psychological terror frequently compelled Japanese soldiers to evacuate positions. On Saipan in July 1944, during the largest Japanese banzai charge of the war, thousands of troops launched themselves at American defensive lines. While machine guns and artillery inflicted the majority of casualties, shotgun-armed Marines proved decisive where enemy forces momentarily penetrated defenses. On Iwo Jima, the shotgun became integral to blowtorch and corkscrew tactics. Flamethrowers provided flames and smoke, explosive charges sealed tunnels, and shotguns delivered the final killing force inside fortifications. Marines even developed skip-shooting techniques, intentionally ricocheting buckshot off tunnel walls to strike enemies around corners. Despite remarkable effectiveness, the Model 12 never received widespread distribution. Only approximately 61,000 units were manufactured throughout the war, minuscule compared to millions of rifles produced. They were allocated to units with highest probability of needing them: Marine rifle companies, Army assault teams, Navy shore parties, and Air Force airfield defenders. Ammunition supplies remained abundant, including standard buckshot loads, solid slugs for extended range, and smaller shot for vegetation clearance. For Marines who carried them, the Model 12 became a weapon of preference. Many swore allegiance to the shotgun's ability to dominate close-range combat. Veterans remembered the confidence it provided during nighttime operations, knowing that if Japanese forces closed the distance, they possessed the ultimate weapon waiting. The Japanese never discovered an effective countermeasure. They experimented with improvised body protection from wood planks or bamboo strips, but such equipment proved cumbersome and useless. Their sole defense was attempting to avoid close-range encounters entirely. Yet their entire doctrine depended on close assault tactics. The Model 12's narrative extends beyond hardware specifications. It represents the American philosophy toward warfare: pragmatic, flexible, and willing to employ any instrument that delivered results. Where other military forces adhered rigidly to tradition, Marines embraced innovation. They didn't wait for official doctrine from headquarters. They experimented in combat zones, identified what worked, and disseminated that knowledge. Techniques like skip shooting, mixed ammunition configurations, and shotgun assault formations weren't conceived in laboratories. They were created in Pacific jungles and caves by Marines fighting for survival. By the conflict's conclusion, the shotgun had established a fearsome reputation. It never served as the primary weapon system, but within the brutal conditions of the Pacific theater, it proved irreplaceable. In nighttime fighting, jungle patrols, bunker assaults, and desperate defensive stands, the Winchester Model 12 provided Marines with a weapon that demolished Japanese tactical assumptions. Even after the war's end, its legacy persisted. The Model 12 served in Korea, where it validated its worth in nocturnal combat. In Vietnam, shotguns were issued to point men navigating dense jungle and for tunnel warfare, echoing cave-clearing operations of World War II. Its influence extended into modern military shotgun development, and its philosophy, overwhelming firepower at close range, remains evident in weapon systems like the A-10 Warthog and AC-130 gunship. For Japanese soldiers who faced it, the Model 12 represented far more than a weapon. It embodied a terrifying contradiction of everything their training had taught them. They anticipated Western troops would falter in close combat. Instead, they found themselves torn apart by buckshot blasts in dark jungle undergrowth or within cave confines. The shotgun, simple in design, yet devastating in application, demonstrated that American forces could adapt more rapidly, innovate more intelligently, and fight with crushing firepower at every engagement distance. From Guadalcanal to Okinawa, the distinctive sound of that pump-action cycling became synonymous with American dominance in close combat, a sound that haunted Japanese soldiers and shattered their doctrine. One thunderous blast at a time,